past that mentioned to you they're thinking of doing something, either buying or selling a home, and they gave you a time frame. They said, we're going to do this sometime in August, September, July, June. They told you a date, a time when they want to start the process. That is lead follow-up. I'm just calling you up, Garth. Hey, you mentioned you're thinking of making a move this summer. Is that still the plan, or things change? Like, I'm all right, so let's get into it. So time management strategies. Time management strategies. First question I have is, how do you describe to me how you structure your day and prioritize critical tasks effectively? So when you look at your day, we have these tasks that we have to do every single day. How do you prioritize them? Just curious.
I had a great coach that told me to time block.
Okay. How so? What's the best way to time block?
Well, you look at your priorities either the night before them, or if you get up early in the morning, and you know that you have to make your calls from 9 to 11, and then you prioritize the events of the day. I usually like to do it on Sunday, though, to see what my week looks like. And then I'm still working diligently to let things not interfere with what I have to do. You know, things come up all the time, and you want to just focus on what you have to do, and that's hard.
Love it, love it. Okay, so what I hear you saying is you're taking your daily schedule, your time blocking, and what it sounds like is you're dividing your building your business activities, and then you're taking care of the business activities. So building your business activities would be those super important tasks that we have to do in the morning, which is to lead gen. Like, we're all talking about lead gen here. However, what I'm asking is those other tasks, those taking care of the business. How do you prioritize what needs to be done now and what could be hold off? Because we're only one person, correct? Like, we have so many different tasks and activities that we need to be doing specifically for the client, but how do we prioritize it? How do we, so that we don't drop the ball? What do you think, Garth?
I don't know if it plays into the prioritize, but um, I'm focused on giving specific time amounts to um, tasks, ongoing tasks or learning activities, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Give it the 30 minutes, start on time, finish on time. Even if you feel like, hey, I could keep going on this, give it 30 minutes, but then on the next scheduled time slot, give it that 30 minutes rather than, hey, I'll do an hour now and then I'll get back to this again sometime in the future, which is my Achilles heel. I'll spend an hour and a half on something and then I walk away for 45 days. And by the time I get back to it, that hour and a half is gone, as far as skill set. So
Love that. I also,
bite-sized
that's
chunks on a
brilliant.
repetitive basis.
Brilliant. So we're just giving the task an actual time limit. I'm going to do this task. I'm going to work on this particular file. I'm going to work on this particular project, right? Whether it is, hey, I'm putting together a open house. This is what I need to work on. And then you're allocating a certain amount of time to work on it so it doesn't go. Because if you don't, you just keep working and working, working, working on that. And then you drop the ball on other things. I love that. That's brilliant. Mark, you got something else?
I use like a post-it ladder. Um, I can't say that I'm perfect because I've definitely had a couple of moments of burnout, and it's just because I was so close to finishing something. I'm like, I just want to get this one thing done. But I put post-its. I have like a lot of post-its on the wall, and then I create like a ladder. And when something becomes more important, I just move it up. And then I do my lead gen is non-negotiable. So lead gen is until 11 a.m. And then I try to take an hour to myself to just kind of decompress. And then usually around like 12:30, I'll go to business activities, and I try to make a cutoff for 2 p.m. And then it's like my kids are coming home. It's just me time, or it's appointments in the evening. But the post-it ladder, if something else comes up and it's more important, I'll just move it higher on the wall in the post-it ladder, and I kind of create a triangle of what's needs to be done, and then I allocate that hour and a half to it.
Great. So that sounds like the Eisenhower matrix, right? Where you're doing urgent versus important.
Yes.
One thing you can use with that is divide up into 3 different categories. You have a number of action items that you have to take on. But if you divide it into 3 categories, and the categories are this: things that must be done today, so must do's. Then you got the, hey, things that I should do and complete should be your should do's. That's the tier below it. And then you have your could do. So you got must do, should do, could do. And this is really powerful if any of you have a VA or an assistant of any shape, any assistant. You can have hey, these are the must do action items that has to be done by end of day. Like by end of day, this is the must do's. Then you go, hey, should do's. This should be done sooner than later. And if we need to allocate it to the end of the week, that's fine. And then there's the tasks or projects that you have in play that you want to be working on, and you would use those as the could do's. If you're adding in, for example, a new lead source and you have to do the research for it, like we're taking a look at the research. See, many of us get really caught up with the shiny penny syndrome. I may on our coaching call say something and you're like, oh, you run with it, but that's not really a must do action item. That's kind of a could do if you had time. I have for an assistant, for an example, hey, if you have time and you're trying to fill her time because you're spending the money paying her per hour, paying him per hour, you use something like a could do. So a project that's ongoing that may take a few weeks, right? So must do, should do, could do. All right, let's keep going. Identify your most productive times during the day. How do you capitalize on the peak production periods? So when is the most productive time of the day for you?
For me, it's either really early in the morning or really late at night when nobody's bothering me.
Okay, so for you, it's necessarily like no distractions. All right, I love that. I love the way you said that, Laura, honestly. All right. Well, does anyone have anything different? Your most productive time is going to be, without question, the morning. That's when you have the most energy, correct? Right? So what is the most important task that we should be doing in the mornings?
Just prepping our day.
Say it again.
Oh, I said
I would say following up.
Okay, so following up with whom?
Just like your pipeline, sellers, buyers, like make sure pre-approvals are in check, make sure like your showings for the day or for the week are like set up.
Okay. So I love that answer, but I think there's something better.
I usually do like my habit is usually I do like gratitudes and affirmations, and then I do like I check to see what I have to do that day
Okay.
and schedule.
I'm not loving that. To be honest with you, Laura. I'm not loving that. I love the gratitude and journal. I agree that should be done. But there's a main reason why you're doing the gratitude. There's a main reason why you're getting your mind set up properly. What's that task that we need to do in the mornings?
Lead gen.
There you go. Yes. Why? And I'm not even talking about follow-up. Okay. I'm not talking about follow-up. So just to be very clear, everyone on this call right now understands that when I think of follow-up, I think of a person that you spoke to in the past that mentioned to you they're thinking of doing something, either buying or selling a home, and they gave you a time frame. They said, we're going to do this sometime in August, September, July, June. They told you a date, a time when they want to start the process. That is lead follow-up. I'm just calling you up, Garth. Hey, you mentioned you're thinking of making a move this summer. Is that still the plan or things change? Like, I'm trying to book that appointment with you. But before we book appointments, we have to first have someone to talk to about. So it's lead gen. It's finding new business, right, Laura? It's finding brand new business. Why do we do it in the mornings?
That's when our highest energy.
Yeah, energy is high. Correct. What else? Like, these are perfect strangers who never spoke to you in their entire lives, Why are we bothering them in the morning? Mark?
Honestly, you can handle rejection when your energy's high. If the conversation's not kind of going in your favor, you can kind of move on to the next one. It's like really easy. It's not really, but if you're drained after the end of the day and it's just like, you know, it's not really going in your favor, then it could be almost depressing, right?
Okay. So I'm hearing the same thing. Your energy's high, okay? But there's more than that. There's more than just that reason. And if you guys don't know it, go ahead, Angie. What else? What else you got?
Well, that's usually when they're available. They haven't
Yeah.
started their day. They're, more reachable at that time.
Yes, you can actually get 30% of the population in the morning. If you're wondering, hey, in the evening I get more people, well, that's true, but it's only 10% more. You can get 40% of the population in the evening, like after 4 o'clock. All right. So,
They're actually in a good mood in the morning too. Their energy's high.
yes, sir. That's right. So, your energy's high, they're in a better mood. Okay. The day has not, they haven't been through the whole, mess of the day, work, kids, this and that, drive, traffic, all that stuff, and you're not reaching them at a time where they're actually not in a good mood. So you're right. The general public, for the most part, are in a good mood, better mood in the morning than they are in the afternoon or evening. Okay. Would you agree that you have less distractions in the morning by the general public? Right? The only people that bother you in the mornings, like when I say mornings, it's typically after 10 o'clock, would be other realtors, mortgage brokers, right? Lenders or attorneys. They bother you in the morning, but the buyers and sellers do not. They actually think you don't come into the office till about 11 o'clock anyways, right? So you have more energy, less distractions. The general public's in a better mood. And let's be honest, lead generation is probably the most difficult task that we do every day. That's why we take Laura the time to do our mental prep, get ourselves lined up, do the affirmations, do the gratitude list so we can get mentally prepared for this task. And the key here is just get it done. Right? I don't remember the name of the book, but they mentioned eat that frog. And it's basically do the hard early. Do whatever's hardest early, get it out of the way, because if you end up having the sense of accomplishment, you get so excited. Like when you just do that 1 hour of power or 2 hours of power, you did your thing, you did the 5-5-4, and you're like, how powerful do you feel after that? Right? Does that not set the tone for the day? Right? So yes, lead gen in the mornings without question, most productive. Now, what about taking care of the business? All right. Laura mentioned in the afternoon or evening, you tend to have more productive there. Why? Why is that the case?
I don't know, just like for me in general, I found that when I'm like really tired mentally and I get more creative and like I'm able to focus on stuff that's, not talking to people, but just yeah, like stuff that, working on the business part.
Okay. So I'm going to suggest it's perhaps because you get less distractions, which we mentioned, right? Less distractions, no one's bothering you. So then how do you avoid distractions when you're trying to be productive? How do we avoid those distractions? What do you think, Mark?
I got two things. One, I shut off, like everything gets turned off. Like my phone goes on, do not disturb. I actually do what Alex Ramosi does. I lock myself in a room. I actually put headphones on. So like there's nothing coming out. They're just the sound dampening in case my kids are screaming in the background or whatever. And it just, I black grayed out and I put the designated time and I put a timer on so then it goes off and then I can reassess if this still needs my attention or not. Another thing that I like is Henry Ford. He had this motto and I try to live by it a little bit. He said, get the laziest person to do the hardest job and they'll find the most effective way to do it. And I find that when I'm tired, like Laura said, there's tasks where I'm like, I do not want to be spending my time on this. So I find that I actually find it's crazy. Almost every week, I'm like, holy crap, I could do, because I want to get this task done and over with. And it's like, holy crap, wait, what if I did it like this, and or use this system or created this thing? Is this even possible? I'll chat GPT it, and it's like, holy crap, I just saved myself a ton of time. So that also helps a lot.
I love it. Centered, focused. One of the things that Tom talked about, how as human beings, we are not very good at multitasking, right? We can't multitask. What we actually do is multi-switch. And our brain does it super quick, Dina. It goes from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. It keeps flipping back and forth. So you're not multitasking, you're actually multi-switching, switching back and forth. The problem with that is our effectiveness is only 40% when we do that. Like, we only have a 40% effectiveness when we're constantly switching from task to task to task. And will increase the likelihood of an error by 50% by doing that. So what you're saying, Mark, is like, hey, I'm centered and focused on this particular task. Hey, I got my headset on. No one's listening. No, I'm not listening to anything else. And I'm just doing that focused task. And I love that. And again, it's time blocking. See, your phone has the focus mode. So if you wanted to, you can set it up where at certain times of the day, it comes on and you're not getting any sort of notification. You could be staying on the task. And now what I highly recommend everyone do, because you are going to get calls that you have to respond to, and you have to return those calls, right? I mean, Dina, we get these calls, right? Angie, we get these calls, we client calls, you know, a buyer, seller freaking out. Well, we're not doctors, we're not surgeons. So there is a time in the day that you can return these calls. And what I recommend everyone do is on your voicemail, or even your texting, because you can, when someone texts you, like just the way you're driving and someone texts you, you can send them, hey, I'm driving right now, I can't talk. You can almost have this automatic text that goes out during your focus time that says, hey, I'm in a meeting right now, I can't talk. I'll be returning your text or call between this hour and that hour, or that hour and this hour. So think about that. Hey, I'm on a meeting right now. I can't return your call. Just leave me a number. I'll be returning your calls between 11:30 and 12, and then again between 4 and 5. Please leave me a number that I can reach you at that time. Or expect me to return your call or your text at that time. Right? That way you're not dropping the ball. They're understanding. They're like, oh, okay. So Dina's gonna return my call. It's 1 o'clock now. She'll call me back at 4. Great. Here's the number you can reach me at 4. Right? That keeps you in the loop with everyone that's trying to connect with you. You're not dropping the ball with them, and you're staying, you're prioritizing what you need to do. I love it. All right. What activities commonly waste your time? Think about that for a second. What activities constantly waste your time? And then what strategies do you have to implement to reduce or eliminate them? So let's start with the first one. What activities commonly waste your time?
Checking your emails.
Emails, okay. So checking emails.
Facebook, social media,
See, that
Instagram,
one's yes and no. See, if you're
TikTok.
using social media, if you use social media as work, where I'm going onto social media, I'm commenting and posting, like if you're just going to scrolling through social media, yes, waste of time. But if I'm going to be here for 10, 20 minutes, I might as well engage. Would you not agree? So have a purpose for it. But if you're just mindless scrolling to see stuff, I would agree with that one. So then flip it. Can I engage with people? Can I just do a quick post? Are you living your dream home now? Right? Are you planning on making a move in 2025 and engage with those people? Right? Here's the deal of the week. This is some property I just saw. Post that. Like, you're looking for engagement. Probably one of the best people I've seen on social that really engages is Mark. Mark, I asked once on this call to take a picture of our call, post it on social, tag me. That was the request. Mark instead puts himself on mute, records a video of us being in the training, and posted that, taking a little bit step further. So if no one's following, you guys have to follow Mark Prada on social media. He's crushing it. Right? Really take a look at that. So what commonly tasks are you wasting your time with? What activities are you wasting time? Who else has something different?
I would say at one point I was finding myself, what's up, coach?
What's going
I
on?
was finding myself working with like 10, 15 different buyers, and I was still scheduling all my showings, mapping out all my showings, like going from point A to point Z. The next thing I know, I was like 2 hours deep because my mind is, I have ADHD and I'm, going here, going there, social media. And then next thing I know, I just wasted 2 hours where I could have been prospecting.
So not prioritizing your task.
Exactly.
So if you're doing, if those, I love showing houses. I love working with buyers. I'm not the type of coach that says forget about buyers, work with strictly with sellers. No, I love the blend, the mix. I love the 50-50. It's fun. What I do recommend, I just want to just touch on this, is if you are showing homes to a buyer, please, whatever you do not just show one home. Do not take that one buyer and just show them one property. Like that is a major no-no. You guys know that, right? Like that should be illegal. Like if a client calls you up, hey, can you show me this house? I'm like, yes, but I'm also going to show you 3 or 4 around it. Why? Why are we showing them more than one home? Why is it wrong to just show that client one property? Really? You guys don't know? You guys are all realtors. You guys are professional realtors. You don't know this?
To give them a better idea of like what's on the market, and they have a better option of like comparing and picking the one if they really are ready to buy.
Exactly. There's no way someone can establish value in a property. If I go see one property, I don't know if it's worth it unless I look at other comparables in the area, right? You'll never know market value by just looking at one property, because remember, value changes, location, location, location. So if I show you one home in this neighborhood and then I have to go 20 minutes away and show you another home, that's not the same property. Even though they look the same, they're all the same kind of features and benefits. However, that's a completely different neighborhood. You need to always show properties in the same area, even if it's not the same features and benefits of the home. Right? Because then you can establish value in that area. So please, folks, if you guys are going to show homes, and I'm just jumping on what Peter said, is if I'm showing homes to about a bunch of buyers, right? Don't do one at a time. You're wasting your time. Mark, you got something to add?
I just had this happen this week. We have a cottage property that's on the market, and it's a total hole. It needs to be completely renovated. The lady died, and we had somebody call. My wife's got the listing, so she's like, well, you go deal with the buyer. A guy called and he's like, look, I think I want this property. So I went out. As soon as we walked in the property, he's like, whoa, this needs way more work than I thought. He's like, look, I'm sorry for wasting your time. But I think in a situation like that, I couldn't really show him a bunch of other properties. It was priced to sell. Like it's sold now. It was priced to sell though, and it just needed a lot.
So 2 things on why I would still suggest to do it.
Okay.
Number 1, again, establishing value, like we shared. But number 2, it's very difficult to build rapport with a person just showing them one property.
Okay.
So what's the purpose of getting a listing? The purpose of getting a listing, and it's not to sell it. The purpose of getting a listing is to get a sale, not necessarily that property. So if I have this potential buyer who's calling me to go look at this property, yes, I agree, you should go out there, but I want to establish value to become their realtor. So then I would show 3 or 4 properties around there. Even if it's like double the price and completely different property, right? You're going from a lot, let's call it a 2-bedroom bungalow versus a 4-bedroom 2-story with a 3-car garage. Would I do that? Absolutely. Because now you could see what's potential. You could see, and I get to spend some time with you. And since I'm going out already, what's the extra 10, 20 minutes to go look at 2 more properties?
Actually, that's a great point too, because as soon as we went in, they were like, well, this is way too much work. But if I showed them something that was, $1 million, and they're like, holy crap, for 600 grand or 500 grand, I could renovate this and I could make this.
There you
go. Might actually, yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
Trigger, because that's what you do. Remember, we provide value, correct?
Yeah.
Our job as realtors is bringing a buyer and a seller together. That's our entire job. That's our craft. So we look at methods and ways to do that. And that's what I'm suggesting to everyone here. Please never just go show one property, right? Make it a habit. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so what's your approach to balance reactive tasks, like when the client calls you up and is connecting with you and saying they need this stuff done, with proactive tasks like marketing or prospecting? So you have your daily tasks, the proactive ones where you've planned it, but then you have the reactionary kind of activities that happen, right? Lender calls you up, the deal's falling apart, right? Lawyer calls you up, hey, you messed up on the listing agreement or the agreement of purchase and sale. So how do you guys balance that? All right, Mark, go ahead.
I'm actually like a bit of a psycho. So I have my brokerage is like 10 minutes from my house, not even. So I if I'm doing creative tasks, I actually go to Starbucks. So when I'm doing social media and all that, I find Starbucks makes me feel like jacked up. I just like the vibe. So I go there, I do all my social media stuff that I need to handle there. When I'm doing anything that's like I'm dealing with like business side of things, I go to the brokerage, and then my lead gen I'll do at home because I'm just kind of like more comfortable at home. I'm in a better mood at home. But when I have to do business tasks, I'm usually at all three of those places every day. And I'll just literally get one drink at Starbucks. I have it, and I'll do I'm smiling, and it just makes me in a wicked mood, and it makes me creative. But yeah, that's how I kind of deal with
The balance there, the different locations. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Anyone else have something different? Really, you know what? To be honest with you folks, it's just simply in your schedule, right? My favorite philosophy is my AM hours are for building my business, and my PM hours are for taking care of my business. So if it has an AM at the end of that number, it's all about lead gen. It's all about lead follow. It's all about booking future business. And then anything that has a PM at the end of that number, it's all about taking care of the client, taking care of what's going on in my business, taking care of the business, going on appointments. See, that philosophy keeps it simple, because the reality is most problems that arise, they can wait to 12 noon for you to take care of it. It never has to interfere beforehand. There is nothing so critical that must be done before 12 noon. And just get into the habit that when you're dealing with your affiliates, like a mortgage broker, lender, like a home inspector, don't allow that to happen in the mornings. Make your morning routine as strict as possible, etched in stone, nothing changes, and then your afternoon free flowing. So that's the yin and the yang of your schedule. Allow that afternoon to kind of be, okay, whatever. Hey, I have maybe a checklist is what happens in the afternoon. Hey, if I don't have an appointment, great, I'm going to create one. I'm going to go maybe see some of my people in my database, maybe go preview some homes. It's kind of free flowing. Maybe I'm just going to go play golf. Why not? But if you took care of everything in the morning, did what you had to do as a lead generation magnet, then in the afternoons, whatever you want it to be. Does that make sense, folks? All right. So I'm going to yell out what day is today, and you guys are going to unmute and yell back at me. It's a money-making day. You guys ready for that? You guys ready? Everybody unmute themselves. All right.
Yes.
I'm just curious. What day is today?
It's
a money-making
Monday.
That's right. It's a money-making day. So who do you have to contact in your schedule? You know who that person is to book you that next listing appointment. You guys are awesome. I'll talk to all of you Friday at 12:30. Thanks so much.